Hello Booktube, I'm Scott.
I'm now.
We're Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. Now, if you follow Sara MG, you might have seen her video posted, I don't know how long ago, because it depends on when we upload this, where she did a page 112.
Yes.
That we sent her. So this is us doing the reply. Now, this has come about because we did one of these with Shawn the Book Maniac, who has invented the page 112 tag.
Or stolen it from some book prize in France.
Inspired by some book prize in France. Thieved, whatever. But we're thieving it from him. But
totally.
In a plagiarism sort of way, because he still has it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Anyway, we did one of them with Shawn a little while ago, and that was lots of fun. And
so we're doing it again.
We're doing it again with Sara MG. So this is book 1, and it starts mid-sentence. So if it looks a bit weird, that's why it sounds a bit weird. Congolese children always pass us right on their march to victory. In our effort to eke the most mileage out of a scissor step or whatever, my sister and I sometimes forget to ask, or ardour to mouth, "Mother, may I?" Whereas the other children never, ever forget. For them shouting, "Madam, may I?" was one rote step in a memorizing chain of steps. Not a courtesy to be used or dropped the way "yes ma'am" and "thank you" are for us. The Congolese children, understanding of the game, didn't even take courtesy or rudeness into account. If you think about it, or any more than Methuselah did when he rallied us with hells and damnation, this came as a strange letdown to see how the game always went to those who knew the rules without understanding the lessons. But May I, Mother, broke the ice. When other children got wise to Ruth's bossy ways and drifted off, one boy stayed. His name was Pascal, or something near it, and he captivated us with frantic sign language. Pascal was my Nikai, my first real friend in the Congo. He was about 2/3 my size, he was about 2/3 my size, though much stronger, and fortunate for us both, he owned a pair of khaki shorts. 2 frayed holes in the back gave us generous views of his buttocks, but that was all right. Sorry. Buttocks.
Bum. My husband is grown up.
I rarely had to be direct behind him except when we climbed trees. The effort was still far less embarrassing to me than pure nakedness. I think I would have found it impossible to be friends with a purely naked boy. "Bito Niki Tosola," he would ask me in a way of greetings. "What are you doing?" It was a good question. Our companionship consisted mainly of Pascal telling me the names of everything we saw and something I hadn't thought to look for. Bengala, for example, the blank, it's blanked out by Sara to not give it away, that was plaguing us half to death. Finally, I learned to see and avoid its smooth, shiny leaves. He told me about Ngodi, the kind of weather Mwala is raining far off in the distance and doesn't ever come. When it booms with thunder and beats down the grass, this is Neri Nuru, and is gentler kind of Ngizi Nadalo. These he called rain boys and rain girls. These he called boy rain and girl rain, pointing right to his private parts and then mine, without appearing to think a thing in the world was wrong with that. There were other boys and girl words. That's it. So it ends mid-sentence as well. There was a lot of words in there where there were vowels and consonants where there shouldn't have been.
Yes.
And that definitely made me struggle while reading that aloud.
Yeah.
That I won't have a trouble with when I'm reading it to myself, because I'll just be like, "Nook."
Yeah, you just gloss over them.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, it's set in the Congo. That
He's interesting.
is interesting to me. The writing is nice. Nothing wrong with the writing, I don't think.
Some kind of childhood friendship talking about in a nostalgic fashion. We're at page 112, so...
It's sounding like it might be a bit of a chunky book, to be honest.
Yeah, are we getting someone's entire life story, or is this just an explanation of, like, are we looking back to explain something?
Yeah, it is. It is very much build up sort of work, isn't it? This has me curious. Children, that has me curious, but it sounds like it's an adult looking back. The voice sounds adult to me, not child. So it sounds like we have adults looking back on children.
That's what I think.
I think this sounds great.
Yeah, I would probably read this based on this page.
Yeah. So let's have a look at 1112 for book number 2. Again, which I think is just going to be a thing, starting mid-sentence. In fact, maybe even starting... That's not a word. Les across his cheeks, which made her, in retrospect, want to kiss them. What an irony to fish from the sea in a state of tragic helplessness, such a perfect example of the only kind of man she ever desired. She stopped. She had reached the door of the intensive care unit. Entirely quietly, she stood still for a moment, surveying the strange, icy still world of fish tank rooms with emancipated sleepers on display beneath oxygen tent plastic, their fragile limbs and torsos hooked to beeping monitors amid endless cables and dials. A switch was suddenly thrown in Rowan's head. Nothing existed outside the ward any more than anything existed outside an operating room. She approached the desk, her hand out to very light touch. She approached the desk, her hand out to very lightly touch the shoulder of the nurse who sat hunched over a mass of papers beneath the low fluorescent light. "Good evening, Laurel," Rowan whispered. The woman was startled. Then, recognizing Rowan, she brightened. "Dr. Mayfair, you're still here." Just another look around. Rowan's manner with nurses was far gentler than ever it was with doctors. She had, from the very beginning of her internship, courted nurses, going out of her way to alleviate their proverbial resentment of women doctors and to elicit from them as much enthusiasm as she could. It was a science with her, calculated and refined to the point of ruthlessness, yet as profoundly sincere as the incision made into the tissue of a patient's brain. As she entered the room from now, pausing beneath the high, gleaming metal bed, a monstrous rack on wheels, it seemed she heard the nurse coming behind her, waiting on her, so to speak. The nurse moved to lift the chart from its place at the foot of the bed. Rowan shook her head no. Blanched, seemingly lifeless, lay the day's last car crash victim, head enormous in a turban with white bandages, a thin, colourless tube running into the nose. Her machine evinced the only vitality with their tiny, monotonous beeps and jagged neon lines. The glucose flowed through the tiny needle fixed into the pinion wrist. Like a corpse coming back to life on an embalming table, the woman beneath the layers of bleached bed linen slowly opened her eyes. "Dr. Mayfair," she whispered. And I'm going to finish there because we've got a half sentence again.
Google what evinced means. I feel like I can't define it properly.
Formal word, past tense, evinced. Yeah, great. Revealed the presence of a quality or feeling indicated.
Okay.
I really struggled reading that aloud. I didn't like the writing very much, to be honest.
I found it hard to listen to, but...
Would you like to read it?
Yeah, I think I might just like to put my eyes over it, because I don't know if it's your reading or the writing. Do you know what I mean?
I really struggled with that writing, to be honest. And that's the sort of thing that I will just not take information in.
I know I like this. This is much more interesting to me than the first book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we completely disagree. This, for me, there's something about this writing that I don't like. I found it so much harder to read this than I found to read the one with all the Congolese words in it.
Yeah, but if you were being read to an audiobook...
Writing is even more important with an audiobook, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that base interpretation gets done for you with an audiobook.
Writing is very important for an audiobook, but in my opinion, but it's actually, you look for different things.
Yeah.
That is different. So this is the start of a chapter. That's a nice little thing. It's called Fortunes and Fables, the Star Merchant. Once there was a merchant who travelled far and wide, selling stars. The merchant sold all manner of stars, fallen stars and lost stars, and vials of stardust. The merchant sold all manners of stars, fallen stars and lost stars, and vials of stardust. Delicate pieces of stars strung on fine chains to be worn around necks, and spectacular specimens fit to display under glass. Fragments of stars were procured to be given as gifts for lovers. Stardust was purchased to sprinkle at sacred sites or to bake into cakes for spells. The star and the merchant's inventory were carried from place to place in a large sack embroidered with constellations. The price for the merchant's wares were high but often negotiable. Stars could be acquired in exchange for coins or favours or secrets, saved by wishful dreams in hopes that the star merchant might cross their path. Occasionally the star merchant traded stars for accommodation or transport while travelling from place to place. Stars was traded for nights spent in inns with company or without. One dark night on the road, the star merchant stopped at a tavern to while away the time before the sun returned. The merchant sat by the fire drinking wine and struck up a conversation with a traveller who was also staying the night at the tavern, though their path would take them in different direction come morning. To seeking, the star traveller said, as their wines were refilled. To finding, came the traditional response. What is it that you sell? The traveller asked, tilting a cup towards the constellation-covered sack. That was a topic they had not yet discussed. Stars, the star merchant answered. Would you care to... ... parenthesis. Oops, I shouldn't close this because that has the answers on it. That was very simple.
Yeah, it was a bit kiddie.
It was a bit kiddie.
I would assume this is aimed at a younger audience.
The thing is, I didn't hate it.
No, I didn't hate it. But of the three, it's the least likely I would want to pick up.
I didn't hate it at all. But if Sarah's description... Like, this could have been... Like, it's clearly not, but it could have been Animal Farm. Like, really simple, nice writing. But I suspect that this is a little bit... I suspect that this is a middle grade book.
I certainly think it's not something I would normally read. It would have to have a sort of a pretty interesting central concept for me to want to read that.
The other thing that I liked about it, though, was at page 112, this sounds like the very start of a story.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a story within a story.
Yeah. Or an episode, I guess.
Yeah. So this could be a lot simpler and not have it be a problem. This could be somebody reading a bedtime tale or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as writing quality is concerned,
it was fine.
It was fine. It was good, even. I mean, it's a bit hard. It was.
That's a bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah.
It was fine, but there wasn't anything really special to recommend it, and felt like it was quite young.
Yeah, I would. If I was in a shop, I would read page 113 as well.
That was page 113. She had to cheat because page 112 was blank.
Oh, it was, of course. Well,
you would read the next page.
I would read page 114. See, that's how little attention. She could have sent me page 77 instead. I wouldn't have known. All right. So, here are the answers. Book 1, The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kinslover. This is on my TBR. I already want to read this book, and I will.
I have never heard of it, so I guess it will get added to mine.
Yeah, this is a classic. Now, what did Sarah say about it? From Goodreads, it looks like you haven't read this one yet, which surprises me. This is one of my absolute favourite books, and I think it will make you very happy. Her writing is beautiful and thematic. It is about a family of missionaries who go to the Congo to live in a tiny village during a time of political unrest. The story is told from the woman's perspective and will haunt you for years to come. I mean, this is my number one, and that it is a book that was on my radar that I wanted to read already.
Not super surprising.
It's not super surprising, but...
Right, now what's book number 2? Because that's the one I want to read.
Oh, I think that this is on your TBR now. Do you have The Witching Hour by Anne Rice? You've got an Anne Rice book.
I don't think I have that one, though. And
What's your Anne Rice
I know
book?
I haven't read that series. Because I think that's a part of a series. And I fucking love Anne Rice's writing, so not shocked.
And I don't like Anne Rice's writing, so...
Don't you? What have you read of her?
I just, Interview with a Vampire.
And you don't like her writing?
I just found Interview with a Vampire so boring.
Sometimes I don't know how I'm married to you.
Really? Where was the rest of it?
Oh. Where's your soul? Where do you keep it? In your sock drawer?
I don't know, but...
Clearly it's not with you when you read.
I don't hate this as much as you clearly hate The Lost Factory, but I feel like...
No.
This is a book that we didn't realise that we disagreed on. I didn't hate Interview with the Vampire. I haven't gone back to... I think isn't The Vampire Lestat the second book, and I haven't gone back to that.
The Vampire Lestat is... Like, that series gets better as it goes on.
I mean... I hate when people say that about series in general because, first of all, series are abominations and should be struck from the book world, but that's a different conversation.
It's from the perspective of a more likeable character. Like, it's from a different perspective, and that's why it's better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look... There's not like series is, of course, some series are going to get better the longer they go, and some are going to get worse. But I just don't. I feel like every series I've not liked the first book of, somebody has said you just need to give it a book or two to get into it.
No, if you don't love her writing, then you shouldn't read it because it's just more of the same. Her writing's fucking excellent, and you're just wrong. Is my problem.
I mean, maybe I should give it another shot. I don't know. But
no, you legitimately don't like her writing. You didn't like it.
I didn't like it there, did I?
From a blind sample.
I didn't like it from the blind sample.
You don't like her writing. You're wrong. You're so wrong.
I really struggled to read it too, and when you read it, you just read it so quickly, and
because it's delicious and tasty, and I would hum hum hum.
It would take me 4 times as long as it would take you to read that book, and
guaranteed.
And we read at the same pace.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is what Sarah said. I haven't read this one for some time, so my memory is cloudy on details. There is a family of women, and down through the generation, each has been haunted by a spirit. I will quote the inside of the cover as I think it accurately describes the novel. Anne Rice makes real for us a great dynasty of witches, a family given to poetry and incest. Sorry, I didn't remember that at all. That's Sarah. To murder and philosophy, a family that over the ages is itself haunted by a powerful, dangerous and seductive being. A hypnotic novel of witchcraft and occult through the centuries. And Rita Mae Brown from the LA Times says it unfolds like a poison lotus blossom redundant with luxurious evils, which I think in itself is a beautiful piece of writing. Also, I know Nell loves a good atmospheric read, so I think that she will like this one. Well, she's put it in for you, and she's got it right.
Absolutely.
Isn't that interesting that that's divided us so much?
I think that our stylistic opinions on writing are very different. There is an overlap that makes it appear like we're judging on the same criteria, but we're not.
Yeah.
I just think that we have completely different criteria for what we consider to be good writing.
If we had separate booktube channels and one of us lived in like France and the other one in like Canada.
I'm living in France. Just dibs on France.
I don't know about that.
Anyway.
We would watch each other and we would get a lot out of each other's recommendations. But I think that often
I think it's an accident.
when two people do a booktube channel, often their tastes can get a little bit mingled. But we do have different tastes, and of course we have different tastes. Like
very different. But I think we're. But I think that my reading criteria is more closely aligned to Shawn the Book Maniac's reading criteria than it is to yours, and that's weird because it's not really.
But like, why shouldn't like? For example, I think Jen the Librarian has probably the closest taste
to yours. Me. Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't think you're judging on. I think it's a coincidence. I don't think you're judging on the same criteria.
Yeah, I know. I think that's
which
interesting.
Is interesting. We should.
A lot of my judgment is basically it feels like it was a good book. Like I enjoyed it. Like I know what I like. I know I like that lovely intersection between literary and commercial fiction, and I think that a lot of people do. But
I mean, commercial fiction is aimed at the mass. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole point of it being commercial is that it's an average of the most popular.
Yes.
So, yes, the highest end of that is going to be the most appealing to the most people. Of course it is.
Okay.
Like, by definition.
This is quite funny.
What's the third book?
The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern.
Oh my god! I'm not reading it. That's it. It's over. So
we're filming this in a batch.
And literally just defended this book.
And I have just attacked this author in another video.
Sorry, I was wrong. And you have it on tape.
I have brutally attacked her in the anti-TBR.
And I tried to get her, buy her another chance. I was wrong. She does not get another chance. Sorry. Bye-bye.
I think if you had given me multiple choice, I think I would have guessed that it was Erin Morgenstern too.
I don't think that's anywhere near as nice as what she wrote in The Night Circus, which was just a description.
But she didn't have any descriptive text in that page 112.
Yeah, and maybe that's her only skill.
I mean, to be fair, character development and plot is not something you get from one page, and that is what The Night Circus was lacking.
Yeah, but I felt like it was aimed at a child. Although the story is that he's reading a story that is his life story up until that point. So you were correct with the book within a book.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's in a library and he reads multiple stories, and maybe this is a different story he's reading.
Let's see what Sarah says about it.
Maybe it's not as clear cut as I think.
I feel like you guys may have read The Night Circus, but maybe not. We have. Sorry, this was page 113 because page 112 was blank. Didn't notice until Nell pointed it out, and I was reading.
He's just not bright.
It's like if I had have intellectualized it, and it was on the right instead of on the left, but I didn't. She said she considered giving us this or a Stephen King novel. That would have been interesting because I've not read any Stephen King.
Stephen King's so variable. That would have been very interesting. I would like to think that I could pick his writing, but I'm not sure that that's always true.
Yeah. Oh, that would be an interesting experiment. Can you pick the author?
Oh, like blind taste testing on MasterChef.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This book is basically a great big love story to stories. It's about an underground secret library that holds all kinds of stories in all formats imaginable. The book has a book within it. Oh, so it sounds like we're starting the book within the book. The writing is so beautiful that even though the book kind of lacks in plot, I mean, that's exactly The Night Circus.
That is exactly...
That's summed up in a sentence.
Yeah. That is exactly my problem with The Night Circus.
And can be extremely confusing at times. It does not matter. You are immediately transported from page one. It's full of metaphors, secret societies, mystical timelessness, and more. Love, 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 love it. Sorry, we've absolutely ragged on it. Sarah loves it.
Absolutely. But that is exactly what I found disappointing about The Night Circus, and just confirms for me 1,000% that I'm not going to bother.
But I think that it actually points out one of the beauties of booktube. The reason that I like books, you like books, Sarah likes books, completely different.
Yeah, but that's why books are so awesome.
And when you have discussions about books, I can tell from Sarah liking this book that I'm not going to like this book. Equally, I'm talking about like if it was The Night Circus, I could have described it to Sarah as beautifully written but without plot, and she can go, well, I like really nice writing, and so she might have been able to decide that she liked it from a bad review. I think that's actually like when we get an honest review. Yeah,
a good review is not just about saying I liked it or I hate it.
It's about quantifying why.
Yeah, and giving enough of a description so that the next person can figure out what that means in how that corresponds to their taste.
Yeah, because you can't love every book you read.
And it looks like we will not love The Starless Sea.
It begins with a man who loves the library. He often peruses the shelves to read snippets of random books. One day he opens a book and finds a story about a boy who discovers a magical door. The thing is, the story is about him, something that happens to him as a boy. It takes off from there, full of gayness, honey, bees and keys, and owls and swords. Yeah. Well, this has gone for ages. I wonder if it'll edit down or not. I hope we can. This is something that we find...
This is heaps of fun. So
really
if you want to collab with a 112 swap, or even if you don't have a channel and you just want to send us some pages to read because you think that we're hilarious, we'd be open to that too. Hit us up in the comments.